Hi, I'm Kelly at Book and Paper Arts, and today I am going to be making the final layout in my latest altered book. Guess what the theme is? I'm also going to alter the cover. So please join me today. I'm going to talk about collage and mixed media techniques, and as usual, I'm going to explain how I got to this finished layout by explaining what I did, but also importantly, what I didn't do, what I tried and decided not to use. And that way you can see how collage layouts evolve and transform and become what they become. If you like altered books, journal arts, vintage books, paper, and other ephemera, please subscribe to my YouTube channel and be sure and turn on the notifications, and you will have more of them in your life. Now let's go alter a book. I have been thinking about this final layout for a couple of weeks now, just kind of daydreaming over it. I know that I wanted it to go out with color, because if you've been following along, you know that I've been alternating between black and white layouts and color layouts. And since the penultimate layout is black and white, I want this one to have a lot of color and a lot of drama, a lot of oomph. And when I was daydreaming, I remembered that I had some peacocks. And for my money, it doesn't get more oomphy or dramatic than a peacock. Also, I love the way that these colors that are in the background are very much the same color as this faded blue cover. I'm using a paper napkin. It's a paper napkin of peacocks. I sometimes hear in the comments that some of you live in parts of the world where it's harder to find paper napkins. As always, I recommend that you check in your supermarket or big box store and look in the birthday party section or the party section, picnic section. They often have themed paper napkins. I did not get this one in a fancy museum gift shop. I got this in a drugstore in Van Cleve, Mississippi. It was 50 cents for a big bag of them in an after Thanksgiving markdown bin. I guess these were popular for parties. My point being, keep your eyes open in funny places you might find them. Now, usually when you use a paper napkin as a transparency or a focal point, you are going to be peeling off 1, 2, 3 layers of these white pieces that are for absorption or something. And that gives you a really pretty transparent image. However, I want to trim this before I put it down. Definitely going to trim around here, possibly around here. And if you are going to trim your paper napkin, you really want to do that before you peel the white absorbent pieces away, because it's going to be too fine. You're not going to be able to cut it. Just skip the part where you try. So I'm going to go off camera and trim this, but if you do need to trim a napkin, be sure you do it when it's as robust as possible. We'll peel later. I've trimmed this now on the edge. I thought about trimming this away, but it's going to make this super hard to work with. And besides, when this is all down, this beigey color is going to go almost translucent and let everything show anyway. So I'm just going to leave that. I have already peeled, having trimmed it, I peeled off the first white layer here. And you can see it's already looking pretty see-through, translucent, but there's still another layer there. So make sure you've got every last white layer off. Sometimes it's 2, sometimes it's 3. This one had 2. And now that's as thin as it's going to go. And I can glue that down. The thing is, you cannot put the glue on the thin paper here. It's going to end in tears. So instead, when I do this technique, I go around and make light pencil marks around the image. And I'm going to put my glue onto the paper instead. This has got a little bit of wrinkling. I don't care. It adds texture to the page. And besides, it's almost impossible to put the paper this fine down without it wrinkling or buckling a little. So always remember to say, I meant to do that. I mainly patted it into place. If you want to press it even further, don't press down on the damp tissue paper because it will pull up, and it will make you sad. So I put some greaseproof paper, some wax paper or deli paper, and very, very gently I'm using a straight edge to make sure I've got a nice seal there. But make a gentle, firm motion. And oops, see, that's wanting to stick even though it's greaseproof paper. Yep, pulled up just a little bit there. Yeah, so there. See, it actually did pull up a little bit there, which was unfortunate. But once it's dry, no one's going to notice but me. Also an important lesson in making stuff. Now to move on to this side of the layout. Blank canvas time. Again, I'm not sure this is going to end up in the finished layout, but I can't resist trying to really go big with the peacock idea. I have these peacock feathers that I think I got these on eBay. I know that you can find them sometimes in craft stores, so look there. But I think I bought these on eBay. Just look up peacock feathers and then filter for crafts or something. Let's see. I am not I'm not sure where to go from here. Sometimes something that I also hear in comments way too often is I would love to make an altered book, but I'm so afraid I'll mess up my book. I'm so afraid I'll spoil it. Well, I don't like the word fear when we are creating, but you are right to have a healthy respect of a technique you haven't tried before. You know, I've spent literally months on this book so far, and I'm just not going to barge in and start putting stuff down if I've never tried it before. And I've got to come clean. I've never added peacock feathers to an altered book before. But I really want to try. So, what I did was I took a piece of watercolor paper, scrap paper, and I cut it to the size of the page. Because the first thing I wanted to try was not gluing them down, but putting them into letting them be all free here and just tucking them into little things. So again, I did not want to just start cutting slits into my book. I've tried this. What I did was I took a pencil and made some pencil lines, and then I took my scalpel and I just made a couple of 1, 2, 1, 2 things that will be holdy places for the feathers. for the feather stems. I'm just going to open those up a little, like that, and that. And that's what I did here, and then I put the feathers in very carefully. So I'm not gluing this page in. If I like this technique, I'm going to add the little cut feather stem holdy thingies there. I do like that. I don't not like it. Let's try it like this. Ooh, ooh, ooh. That is, ooh, that's looking good. That is definitely a possibility. Another thing that I'm thinking is just going with one. And if I did it, you know, again, this is fine. This is fine. But over here on the napkin, the peacock feathers, there's some floating in the air and they're facing downwards. So what if I was to just add one perfect peacock feather here, also floating downwards at a little bit of an angle, and that's going to echo that and make this one cohesive layout. Because even though you've got these really different mixed media pieces, you've got them going in the same direction, the same color, and thematically, and now you've got one canvas. I am going to think about this and come back. I think I am going to go with the two on a diagonal here. While it does not mirror the falling leaves, it does tilt inward, drawing the viewer's eye inward. So the stance in the stance of the peacock and his gaze are drawing your eye inward, and now the posture of these feathers, the angle, is also going to draw the eye inward, like that. After all of that little niche making and whatnot, okay, I learned a new skill, but I don't think I'm going to use it today. Instead, I tried another experiment, and that was gluing the peacock feather to the page. It's a little problematic. They're kind of delicate. They're wanting to shed a little bit. I think in years to come that could be a problem. Hopefully, it will still outlive me. And if you have some shabby, fading peacock feathers, that will still be part of a story in years to come. So what I did, though, I didn't want to glue something down and make a mess that I couldn't undo easily. So I took another piece of that scrap watercolor paper and I glued this into place. I am using an acrylic gel medium, but you can certainly use a PVA or something else. What I did was I wanted to experiment, so I didn't want to glue it down flat, and I don't think I could. So I put a blob of gel medium and then gently squished the feather onto it. And now I can see that it's going to stay, but, so yeah, it's pretty there. It's not looking too gluey or icky. It did when it was wet, to tell you the truth. It looked a little bit tacky, but as it dried, it dried clear. And now I've got these guys. They're going to flow free and add texture and interest to the page. So let's glue those down. Before I glue that down, I can't believe I'm saying this because these are so dramatic and crazy. But I think that there's something that is needed to make the page a little bit more interesting. I'm going to go around the edges, and I'm looking at two different ideas here. And one is, this is an XL chunky graphite stick by Derwent. And they're meant to be water soluble, but They also smudge like crazy, and they just look so smoky and pretty. And this is very much a peacock blue color here. My only worry is that when I want to go all the way around it, and if I try to go over this, I might scrape that, might pull it up a little bit. So I'm also thinking about just plain old bog standard, blending the edges with a blending tool and a stamp pad, an ink pad. You don't have to use a blending tool. By all means, you can use a makeup sponge, and it's going to do the same job with your stamp pad or ink. Okay, that's not as pretty a turquoise blue, but it's safer and dustier, and it does very much pick those colors up. So I'm going to go with that. It still needs something else. I have in my scrap pack some rice paper with Chinese scroll writing. If you don't have that, that's fine. Use what you got. You could just take some tissue paper, blank tissue paper, and stamp it with, maybe you have a Chinese scroll stamp, or you could stamp it with any kind of pattern that you think is charming. And then use that. I rough tore this to make this messy border. I also think I like that when this goes down, it's going to go down again, pretty translucent, but it's also going to slightly echo the parchment color over here in the paper color. And that's, again, going to add a little drawing the eye from the paper to the paper shade. That'll make it a little more consistent than just blah and blank. Let's see how that works. Boy, I am happy with this. It's adding, it's pulling the eye from here to here. It's got the black print, which is picking up the black stamping and pulling the eye from here to here. And it's added detail and layer and texture to the page. Let's see. Which, again, is also echoed with the layers here. I want to add a little definition here. I'm using this is a pastel pencil by Caran d'Ache. You can use any kind of pastel or crayon or what you will. I'm making this kind of soft. I don't want it to be a hard outline, so much as almost suggesting like a crack, like you might find in some Chinese porcelain. So I'm going to smudge that a little gently. And now come back to the feather. Let's see. I know I said this, and that's probably strong. There's the one that echoes that. I think all of these are okay. They're all going to be good. I'm actually tempted by this now, even though I've been looking at the diagonal for a few minutes now, because it almost looks as though it's a plant or a tree. It's a peacock feather tree. Somebody get on that. We need one. So again, I'm going to think about this and come back. Well, I didn't see this coming, but it's important to stop here and say, as always, before you put your images down in your collage, move them around. You want just from diagonal to upside down, or that looks good. And I really was just about to glue these as little trees when I turned them sideways for one last look. And I really love this. It's almost, to me, it's almost like it's suggesting a curtain or a screen. And it fills that space up nicely with movement. It's pretty, it's fun, it's whimsical, and it's where we're going with the feathers. I am happy with this. You can see now that it's dried, the gloppy parts of glue are not showing. You still have lots of movement here. It is delicate, and as I say, it may mold a little bit, but I'm happy with it, and I'm just going to have to be careful when I handle the book and be gentle. Speaking of, I am concerned about this spine. This is paper. It's chunked up a little. Not a lot, not like some of my books, but it has chunked up. And it's cardboard with this linen spine here. And I'm very, very tempted to reinforce it. I've been thinking about this for about 45 minutes or more. And I was thinking about reinforcing it with this tea bag. And a tea bag is when I am mending or reinforcing pages in an altered book. These are way more robust than you think they are. And I am so tempted to make this would make the book so much stronger. But I'm just not happy with how that is going to break up the color, break up the page here, this line, and it's also going to lose that pretty turquoise teal linen band. So I'm going to have to just be gentle with this book when I handle it. And that's the way that goes. I have already had comments as I've been making videos on the layouts, process videos, saying, I don't think you should cover up the cover. I don't think you should alter the cover. I get that. I wanted to use this in this book. It's an old painting kind of thing, and that would certainly look good, but I would lose this. This is the charming part. But it does need something. It needs something to make it an altered cover of an altered book. So once again, I have taken a paper napkin. And this one has roses. I have some that have teal colors, green colors, and I thought about those. But I like the way that this has the green leaves that actually are close to this blue-green color in the spine. So rather than obscure the cover, I think this will complement the cover. I took the napkin and I rough tore it. And here's how it's going to go, like this. Yeah, like that. And I just rough tore it. It's got jagged edges. It's going to make it soft. And I can now pull this here. And I'm going to do that. I like how that turned out. If you've seen my videos, you know that I'm always trying to get this peeling wallpaper look in my pages and layouts. And to me, that's what this feels like, as if once upon a time this was some floral wallpaper perhaps, and over time it's come away in patches of patchiness and just leaving these lovely little remnants. I think it needs something else, though. I think it needs a bird. And I have thought a lot about this. No bird, bird. I am going to go with the bird because, one, the colors work really well. And two, I've got birds throughout this book. And I think one on the cover will kind of say what's inside. But because he's on this branch, it's leaving lots of negative space. And in that negative space, you can still see the old-timey font here, and it's clearly Italian. You still get some of the Italianness of it, and you still have this handwritten doodling up here to reveal enough of the original cover. So I'm going to put that down and be right back. Here's the finished cover. I did go round all of the edges with a blending tool and this kind of parchmenty caramel colored ink pad. And that helps push the napkin edge back into the page a little bit more, so it has that feeling, that wallpaper feeling. And it also, here on the front, creates a line, a light brown line that echoes the light brown shading here. So line, line, and that draws the eye. And here is the final layout. And the only thing I have to say to that is peacocks. Please join me in a day or two. I'm going to have a flip through of this entire altered book from cover to cover. Also, please join me because in a day or two or next week, I'm going to have a video about why you should be making your New Year's resolutions and making them now. If the words New Year's resolutions make you want to back out of the room slowly without making eye contact, trust me, please stay with me here because it's just another way, another tool for setting goals and aims that will get you closer to your dreams. And I have ideas, strategies, and techniques for making them in a way that is foolproof, no fail, sabotage proof. So please join me. I'm going to talk about why you need to be making resolutions and why you need to be making them now. Give it a chance. Until then, get up and go make something. Bye.